and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick, with the city's Communications and Marketing Department. And today we're going to talk to two folks on the Hampton Police Division who were recently honored. And I know we've shown the whole service here on this station, but I wanted to go a little more in depth with these two because they have amazing stories to tell. So first we have Patrolman Marc Ramirez. Welcome.
Hello.
And Captain Orrin Gallop, who's a fairly familiar face in the city. Welcome.
Thanks.
And Marc, I'm going to start with you because your story is really compelling. I mean, it's always, you know, exciting and amazing and awe-inspiring when a police officer saves someone's life. But when they called you up twice in the same year for life-saving actions, I thought, holy cow, you know, what a year you have had.
It was a pretty good year. I honestly did not expect to get called up twice. I knew that we had the incident. I know Corporal Hooks was going to get his award for when we did the CPR, but I thought they were just going to give me one award for the second incident for jumping in the water and with Officer Trowbridge and helping pull the lady to safety. It was shocking to hear my name get called twice.
Well, so let's talk about the first, chronologically, the first incident was an overdose.
It was an overdose. We got dispatched. Officer Trowbridge and I both got dispatched to that one as well. I arrived on scene first with Corporal Hooks, and once we went in, we found the female in the bathroom who was pretty much, she did not seem like she was alive. She was laying on the bathroom floor. We saw the needle on the counter. We realized what was going on. Corporal Hooks immediately started CPR. We were still waiting for the medics to get on scene. Once Corporal Hooks tired, I started the CPR as well. Once the medics were able to enter in, they took control of the scene and they helped get her to Centera Careplex safely.
And they can, you know, there's a drug now that they have that can counteract that effects of the overdose, but you guys had to keep her alive until they could get here. About how long was that, do you think?
To be honest, I don't know. It felt like it was forever. It felt like we were doing CPR for a long time.
I mean, you know, I've done it in the training, and you get through, you know, a minute or two, and you're like, but you guys, to keep going like that.
Constantly, you have to keep going, and it has to be steady. It has to be strong, and it's just, when you're doing it on the dummies, it's one thing, but when you're doing it on an actual person's physical body, and they have muscle and all that other texture that the dummy doesn't have, it's just a different feeling, and just the panic of wanting to keep somebody alive. Yeah.
So, I mean, this is what you guys are trained for.
Yes.
You know how to do it. Did that training just kick in?
It was more of just a natural instinct to help somebody. Once you see somebody in distress and it's just a motivation to help keep them alive. I mean, it was just natural instinct. The training helps, but like natural instinct.
You have to have both.
Well, you don't have to have both, but the Hampton Police Division, they train you very well, so it helps out.
Okay, and then later on in the year, you had another call.
Yes, this one was very interesting as well. I was in the area of where I patrol normally. We get
which is what? What's your
downtown Hampton, okay. Settlers. It's district called 207. I got dispatched. Call came in as a female driving her vehicle through an area like apartment complex where she wasn't supposed to be, on the grass on the median. Once we started getting en route, it got updated to she actually got across the apartment complex, driving in between, and she was going toward I guess the bridge part. It got updated again that she crashed her vehicle, that she was getting out, that she was getting on the docks, and that she jumped in the water. So before I even got on scene, I was. So
that must have been happening quickly because you were kind of in the area.
Very quickly. It was right there. As soon as I get there, Officer Trowbridge gets there as well. We realize she's in between the boats, and she's pretty much in the water, submerged fully in the water, and she's grabbing one of the ropes off the boat, and she's trying to strangle herself at the same time.
Because when you say grabbing a rope, I think, oh, now she's decided, you know, to hang in there.
She's not using it for leverage. She was physically putting it around her neck, and she was pretty much trying to strangle herself in the water and possibly cause herself to drown. And it just became a point where we couldn't wait anymore. We had to take our gear off. We had to act at that time. If we didn't act, I really believe she would have been successful in her suicide. We stripped all our gear off. Officer Trowbridge and I immediately jumped in the water. as soon as we grabbed onto her, she calmed down. I think she felt safe with us.
That's good, because, you know, someone who doesn't want to be rescued out of the water is 10 times harder to rescue than someone who's
They are. That's why I'm very happy that Officer Trowbridge was there. He's an excellent swimmer. Myself, I'm not the greatest swimmer. I'm a good survival swimmer, but to help somebody swim, I had to really dig deep inside me to be able to do that, because honestly, I was concerned about drowning that day. Because when we jumped in the water, it wasn't like we were touching the ground. We weren't touching the ground at all. It was deep there. We were pretty far off of it. We were toward the end of the docks, and there was no touching it. Once we got her all the way to it, we pulled her out and handed her over to the medics, and we were supposed to go change our uniforms.
You were still on duty, right?
We were still on duty. It was in the middle of the shift, and they told us, "Hey, go change your uniforms and go get out, go get in some comfortable clothes, some dry clothes." Nope. Got dispatched to more calls, more accidents, overturned vehicle, and Officer Trowbridge and I just threw it all back on and just continued throughout our day in our wet clothes and continued working. And I was very cold. We were both very cold that day.
Okay, but now you're smiling. So when you have a really tough day like that, you've saved people's lives, you love what you do. I can tell by the look on your face.
I do. This type of work it's kind of like saying it's what I was born to do. I mean, sometimes you feel like you're born to do something, and this type of work, I felt like this is what I was meant to do in this world.
Mark, how long have you been doing it?
3 years.
You plan on making this a long-term career?
I do. Law enforcement is my calling.
So is saving someone's life, hands-on saving someone's life like that, the most rewarding thing, or there's so much other gratifying things you do as an officer? I
mean, there is. Saving someone's life is a very rewarding thing. I mean, but at the same time, it falls into what our job title is, and our main concern is to serve the public. That's our main service, to be a service to them. When someone's in need and in distress, I mean, they don't know it yet, but we're there to help. And it says it right there, to serve and protect, and that's exactly what officers did, and that's what we did.
And I think sometimes in your prevention roles, you're saving lives, but it's not, you don't see it because you stop something from happening. And, you know, there's lots of ways that you all are saving the public in addition to
there's so many ways. There's so many unaccounted times that officers unfortunately don't get accredited for, that we're going to call sometimes with families who are in distress with each other. We're going there and we're being mediators for them. We're going to domestics, and the family's having a hard trouble, and sometimes you'll have officers sit there for 20, 30 minutes talking to both family members, trying to work problems out with them. There's so many calls that we go out to that people are having suicidal thoughts, that we go and we get training and we get CIT training, and we talk to them, and there's just, I honestly believe there's so many lives that we save out there that aren't accounted for and the public honestly don't see. We don't see that. You know, honestly, I think about crime and crime prevention, and I forget about, you know, mental illness, drug abuse, intoxication, and, you know, depression, or just, you know, as you say, family issues that escalate. It's an extraordinary thing, because if you think about it, I mean, we're human too. We're not, it's not like we're immune to any of the problems that the people are having that we're going out to. I mean, when officers go home, they have the same thing to deal with: depression, family problems, personal issues, finance issues, everything that you're going out to and having to help people with. You're probably having the same problems, but you have to sometimes lower yourself and to put your pride to the side and just help people and learn to put other people's needs first before your own. And that's what a lot of officers do. We put other people's needs first before our own, and it takes a very special person to do that. Yes, it does, absolutely. And not to neglect your own needs at some point, because you got to come back and take care of yourself and your family as well. But we appreciate what you do for the rest of us. Yes, ma'am. Now, Orrin, your award was different. This was not for a moment or 2 moments, as it is in Mark's case. This was leadership, kind of a career award. And tell us also, it's named for someone very special.
First, I want to say I was enjoying listening to his story. It was what he did. That was for him to sacrifice himself to save someone else.
Yeah.
Even when he had a problem, know that he couldn't swim.
He knew that he couldn't swim
and he
very
didn't think twice about it,
Yeah.
and so that's real admirable. Mine is the Minetti Award, is named after our former Chief Minetti, who's become a friend of mine over the past
that makes it
few
doubly
years
special.
where we met. And it was a surprise that I received the award.
Yeah, you guys knew. You were on the program.
I had no idea.
I think I was standing right beside you.
Yes, I had no idea. I saw my wife and my sisters come in. I didn't know where they were even coming. Then I realized that probably something was happening.
What was going on. But you have, in addition to helping to run the operation, you have a special role in the youth violence prevention and intervention programs.
Yes, the chief has tasked me with coordinate a lot of our youth violence programs. And with other outside organizations, we developed a partnership with Hampton University. We're also a member of Cities United, which only 75 cities in the country are part of, that deals specifically with violence among black males. Because in our city, that's been one of our big driving forces. And so we're looking at trying to find ways to reduce violence overall among teens.
I think, you know, it's an interesting thing that when Hampton had a very bad spike one summer 2 years ago,
right.
Everybody got involved and reacted, and you know, it was sort of the news of the day on the media side, and that spike didn't continue. But the problem is there. It's not specific to Hampton. It's not worse in Hampton than it is anywhere else, but it did spark this ongoing multi-agency effort to try to work on those long-term root causes, to intervene, to prevent. That's not an easy task.
Well, that's how I really got involved in a lot of volunteers. It was Councilman Moffitt in
dragged you in,
June of 2013 when we had a big meeting at White's Thomas when they brought everybody in. That was after they had a shooting at the carnival and some other incidents, and he kind of challenged everybody to do more. And it kind of made me look in within myself. I am a police officer, but I was looking at what else do I do outside the community? Am I doing all that I can do? It's easy sometimes to criticize people for not doing enough, but I had to look at myself and say, was I doing more? Could I do more? And that's how I got more involved than it was. It's difficult. When you go to these crime scenes, you see people, young getting killed, and you have to deal with the parents, the families, and I always wondered, what is it like knowing that you're burying your child? How does it feel that, you know, the doubt they have in themselves as parents? And I decided I didn't want to keep going to those scenes. What can I do different? How could we get everybody to volunteer? Because what I see, there are a lot of things that people in the city are doing are good, but a lot of it wasn't connected. And our job was to try to get everybody to work on one single focus in reducing violence among teens.
I think so, and understanding what different groups are doing and how to hook families into the group that best fits, you know, with their needs is a huge thing. But it's not, you know, it's not a quick fix.
No, and it's not. I look at it as a long-term, you know, enterprise, and also there's no one solution. Everybody has part of the answer. If it's just you volunteering, and you may just be, if all you could give is money, if you can tutor somebody, mentor someone, and sometimes you have an impact you never realize. Sometimes just give somebody encouragement, you never know how much that can help. So we're looking at it and let everybody know it's a long-term problem. It was created, it took a long time for us to get here, but be patient. Don't expect immediate solutions, but as long as everybody works towards the same goal, we'll make progress. And plus in the city, we're unique because we are small enough to where we can actually try different things. We can put things together. And plus the city government is committed, clergy is committed, and I can say over the past 2 years, I've met so many citizens that I never would have met who are also committed to the problem.
Well, and I think too, we're going at it on so many different levels, and you have to really start with education and communication. And in a lot of ways, then that sort of highlights the problem, and people are uncomfortable with that. But if you don't admit that you can do something better, you never do it better because you're too busy covering up what's there or not looking at it and not seeing what's going on so that you can see how to do it better.
Well, it's kind of difficult, you know, as an African, I'm a police officer and an African-American male.
Right.
And it's difficult to have those discussions sometimes to see who's getting killed, to see that there's a lot of young black males. But you could put your head in the sand or you could say, let's deal and fix the problem. And I think it's what I find out that I don't believe no child that's 10 years old say, I want to grow up and get killed, or I want to grow up and I want to be a killer. I think there's a point to where if we could find out what happens, what went wrong, what happened to this person when they were young and had a lot of goals, a lot of aspirations, why they choose another path. And if we can start there, I think at least in the future we can prevent things from happening in the future. Then we can help us deal with some of the problems we have now.
Yeah, and I think that's the hard part, is to fix the problem now. You have to go back to those 5- and 10-year-olds to prevent it, but you also have to deal with the kids that are on the edge, or the kids who've gone over the edge. I think
sometimes people get discouraged because the problem seems so large.
So huge.
And a lot of times you make progress and you'll take a step forward and 2 back, but I tell everybody, just be patient, because what we're doing is making a difference.
Do you see that? Do you feel it?
I feel it's making a difference, because when we had that first meeting 2 years ago, there wasn't the focus on it. It was like now, like I say, there's like a laser focus where everybody, I have people coming to me all the time and say, what can I do? And I look at it, we also have it, since Chief Solis come, which he stressed, we work a lot with Newport News, because I think sometimes people don't realize Newport News and Hampton are so interrelated.
A lot of people don't know where the city lines are. They really don't. Or they'll move back and forth, you know, live in one city for a while and the other.
And it's not as if somebody said that, well, I'm in Newport News, so I can't cross over the Hampton line.
Right.
We're interrelated, so what happens with one city normally happens with another, and we've had a lot of joint partnerships with them, and I think we are making a difference. It's slow, but you can start to feel, it's almost like it's a train that was going in one direction. We're starting to slow it down, stopped it, now we're ready to turn around to go in the right direction.
I can see why you won the award. You are making progress and working on this and not getting discouraged, because I think we all have to admit it's going to take a while. This is not a short-term issue. So we can't expect to see miracles right away, but we can expect slow and steady progress.
And plus, we don't have a choice. I mean, I always tell people is that if you look at it, you know, children, if we say they're so important, are we willing to risk everything for them? Because I look at sometimes the gangs on the other side, they're willing to die for the other gang members, but sometimes we let fear stand in our way to where we don't have that same commitment to helping. We'll sit back, we'll sometimes like to no snitch and different things like that, but I still look at it, why are we hiding in our houses? Why are we hiding under our beds when we see our children out getting killed? Shouldn't that be enough for us to say that this is where I start, this is where I draw the line, this is where, for me, within inside, somebody should say that enough is enough.
Right, and I think that's kind of what happened 2 years ago, and we hope that people like you will be able to stay focused when it's not the immediate crisis, but more the long-term view. So thank you for your leadership, and congratulations on your award. And thank you not just for the 2 major life-saving events you had this year, but for that day-to-day effort of serving and protecting.
Thank you, ma'am.
And thank you for watching. I hope you've heard a little bit more about the stories behind the awards that you saw recently and what our police force does every day to make this city safer and a better place to live. Thanks for watching.